But Satan. Okay, but the dialectic. With the release of what is now Netflix's most watched series, Squid Game, a lot of people have been quick to point out the frankly obvious anti-capitalist themes in the series, except Tim Pool. However, most analyses, I think, miss many of the series' broader societal critiques for a fairly standard analysis of wealth relations. The series follows Song Gi-hun, an indebted gambling addict, as he, and many other people in vulnerable situations, participate in a series of underground children's games with the aim of winning a large cash prize. Notably, while there is a coercive amount of secrecy regarding the deadly nature of these games, each candidate agrees to participate voluntarily, and the whole group can stop the games if a majority agrees. Given the class of the participants, and the inherently disturbed nature of a deadly competition over desperately needed resources for survival in the real world, its framing of economic inequality and the exploitation of the vulnerable is practically built into the structure of the plot.
미친 거 아니야? 다들 이 짓을 계속 하자는 거야 지금?
해야지 그럼! 나가면 뭐가 달라? 어차피 나가도 생 지옥이야 이 씨발.
그래!
But throughout the series, we get hints into a dark reflection of our reality, the pervasive culture of exploitation in which Squid Game started. This goes beyond simple socioeconomic relations, affecting all interpersonal relationships in the series, to the point that the creator of Squid Game, the one exploiting everyone, being separated from these socioeconomic pressures, is able to have some of the healthiest interactions and relationships with the participants.
In many ways, the concept of Squid Game itself exemplifies the self-destructive search for power that causes these relations in the first place. The system, requiring the elimination of the other competitors, demands a denial of empathy among those who share the same position. The system says that there must be winners and losers, that the weak must be weeded out, and so to survive necessitates a worship of its concept of power, perpetuating itself through the survival of only those most suited to its rule set.
솔직히 말해. 여자랑 노인이랑 편 먹기 싫은 거잖아.
목숨이 달렸는데 당연한 거 아니야?
내는 거야. 다 게임의 일부라고.
그안에서는 우리가 널 지켜줄 수 없어. 빨리 돌아가서 살 길을 찾아.
살 길? 제일 센 중에부터. 그게 살 길이야.
As such, these power relations occur, even for the most part, between people of similar socioeconomic statuses, often in a more directly exploitative way than Squid Game itself. When Gi-hun first reports his experience being, admittedly, tricked into participating in this deadly game to the police, their quick and frankly ridiculous dismissal of his case based on his appearance and a cursory look into his evidence demonstrates the sadism of many who hold state power. That Gi-hun would even bother to report his story, a conspiracy mainly concerning desperate working-class adults and not wealthy children, which should probably be taken more seriously, is seen as an affront to those who hold state power. Because to use time investigating an unserious claim by a working-class person would be to relinquish the power of state resources to the societal underclass. There in addition seems to be a collaboration between the government and the creators of Squid Game, causing no systemic action to be taken. Considering the regular liquidation of hundreds of its working population would not be good for the economy, the existence of this collaboration exemplifies the in-group preference of power, even if that preference leads to the destruction of the in-group. Another notable example of this dialectic of exploitation is Gi-hun's debt to the loan sharks he's forced to sign his physical rights to, while their social classes may be further apart. The very nature of Gi-hun signing his rights away directly mirrors his decision to participate in Squid Game. In both cases, his choice, quote-unquote, to participate in a clearly exploitative agreement is not a choice at all, and yet it's one the rules of the broader society enable. Society itself creates the conditions wherein such exploitation is not much of a deviation from normal societal relations, simultaneously increasing the chances of internal pacification and of its own self-destruction. The group of thugs in the story, symbolizing this attitude among the participants of Squid Game, demonstrates the self-destructive nature of this worship of power. Though physically weaker members, like the doctor, are told to stay with the thugs for the best chance of survival, their brazen concern only over themselves leads to their own destruction, as first their preference of power is used against them in the game of marbles, the leader, Duk-soo, defeating a man who essentially represents the other thugs, And again, where the woman Duxter manipulated into having sex with him with a promise of protection kills him and herself over that betrayal after he tries again to use that power to exploit the rest of the participants in the game. In the same way Duxter's inherent physical advantages lead him to exploitative and even arbitrarily harmful decisions, which eventually backfires with his own self-destruction. So too do the unfair and often malicious rules governing Squid Game contribute to its self-destruction. For example, their totalitarian control over the staff and the constant conditioning to violence required for the job lead some of the staff to sell the organs of dead players on the black market, conspiring with the doctor, who is similarly detached from the brutality of the operation, in exchange for an advantage in the game. While this could have brought unwanted attention to the operation, on a larger scale, their mistreatment of the players by obscuring the nature of the game and its rules leads many to reveal Squid Game to the public, causing some to become often vengefully motivated to bring an end to it. The nature of this dialectic is alluded to by the creator of Squid Game near the end.
다 시시해져 버려. 살면서 더 이상 즐거운 게 없다고. 뭘 하면은 좀 재미가 있을까?
While the meaning of the struggle for financial security is imposed on the participants of Squid Game, the owner class to which the creator belongs finds meaning only in the subjugation and exploitation of their financial slaves, causing an inherent class tension that only the destruction of that system can end. Squid Game, changing this dynamic to an intra-class tension in the concept of survival, destroys relationships as friends either willingly or unwillingly turn on each other, most notably Gi-hun and his friend Cho Sung-woo, the former head of his securities team at an investment company. But for Cho Sung-woo, in the context of society outside Squid Game, this dynamic is perhaps the starkest. Despite his prestigious job, he's in a state of financial and legal desperation, one caused by stealing money from clients and debts from bad investments. Like Gi-hun, he's addicted to a form of high-stakes gambling, one that puts not only him but his mother at risk. But why would he do this? Make such unnecessarily risky decisions, with such a lack of concern, even over his own mother? The answer lies in the creator of Squid Game's justification for its existence, the boredom of power in itself, one only alleviated by exploiting others. A process perpetuated by that which would lead to his own exploitation. Money. Insert how the tables have turned meme here. Thanks so much to Fuzzy Zeus, Maria Person, Michael Gallagher, Nora, Technica, Ann Russ, or Reed, Familika, or Familika, Famileek. I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry. Darth Sidetracks, Garrett Polk, Jacqueline Rudick, Krampus, Montron, Peanut256, Pinball Witch, Questing Refuge, Sweet Pea System, Ash Turner, and The Goat Elaborates for sponsoring today's video. If you'd like to have your name read at the end of these videos, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/satenmadpun. You can also make a one-time donation at paypal.me/satenmadpun. Thanks so much for watching again, guys. A couple of updates. First update, listen to my song, please. It's the last video I recorded before this. That was the last video I uploaded before this one, so go and check it out because, like, it's good. I mean, like, I'm sure that, like, most people who like watch this channel at least sort of regularly can probably detect that I have a big love of music and stuff like that. So yeah, just go check it out. I'd really appreciate it. Also, I have an Instagram now, so go follow that. I also have a new Twitter, so follow that too. Other than that, again, I love you guys. Thanks so much for supporting me. Thanks so much again to my patrons, and yeah, that's it. Bye bye.